She vanished, and 2 years later I found my mom paid for betrayal. Not just pay to make her leave, but even to erase something inside her. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who got ghosted. I was 25, had a stable job in logistics, lived alone in a decent apartment, and had been in a relationship for nearly 2 years with someone I genuinely thought I'd marry. Her name was Eliza. She wasn't flashy, not some influencer type or anything. Just a grounded, funny, sharp woman I met through mutual friends at a game night. We clicked fast, same taste in music, both hated small talk, both had complicated families we didn't talk much about. We were solid, or so I thought. One day she kissed me goodbye like normal before heading to work. She said, "Text me when you get off," like she always did. That was the last time I saw her. I didn't hear from her that night, or the next day, or the weekend. Her phone was off. Her apartment was still furnished. Her work said she quit via email with no warning. Even her roommate said she just packed a suitcase, left in the morning, and never came back. It didn't make sense. There was no fight, no signs. I kept thinking maybe something happened to her, like an accident or breakdown. I filed a missing person report. I was worried out of my mind. It took weeks to accept that she wasn't coming back and that she didn't want to be found. It ruined me for a while. I stopped going out, stopped trusting people, got short with my coworker, couldn't look at photos of her without getting this weird knot in my stomach, a mix of betrayal and confusion. My mom told me to move on already. She said things like, "You're lucky it didn't happen after marriage, and she probably wasn't who you thought she was." I hated hearing that. It felt wrong. It felt like she knew something she wasn't telling me. That's where this story should have ended, a ghosting, a heartbroken guy, and a closed chapter. But 2 years later, everything flipped upside down. I was clearing out a closet at my mom's house. She had knee surgery and I was staying over to help her for a few weeks. I found an old box of cords, receipts, and random household junk. In that box was an old USB drive labeled Tax Files 2020. I almost didn't look, but I needed a distraction and figured I'd help organize her digital files while she was resting. It was mostly spreadsheets and boring PDFs, until I saw a folder named Private Transfer. I clicked. Inside were screenshots of PayPal transactions. I stared at the names for a second, not expecting anything crazy. Then I saw it. One of the transactions was to a name I hadn't thought about in forever. Eliza's ex, not mine, hers. I recognized it because it had come up once early in our relationship, a guy named Micah. She said he was the past and she had no contact with him anymore. The payment said, "For help agreement, please confirm after." $500. Then another one a week later, $1,000. I sat up straight. My palms started sweating. The last transaction was the week Eliza ghosted me. $2,000. The subject line? Done. Thanks for the clean exit. That's when I realized I wasn't crazy. Something happened behind my back. Someone pulled strings, and I was going to figure it out. I copied the folder to my own drive, didn't say a word to my mom, and started digging. The next day, while she was asleep, I went through her old emails. I wasn't proud of it, but after what I saw, I needed answers. That's when I found them. An email chain with Micah. It started formal, then got personal. In one of the messages, my mom wrote, "I'm willing to cover everything if it gets her out of my son's life. She doesn't come from a good enough background. She lies. She clings. You know her better than anyone." My stomach dropped. My own mother didn't just disapprove of Eliza. She actively paid her ex to interfere, to break us up. But that wasn't the worst part. There was one more email. A draft. Unsent. Subject. Final payment. After breakup. Let's make this clean. No contact. Tell her to block him everywhere and delete everything. I'll handle the fallout. I didn't know what to do, or who to even be mad at first. I confronted her that night, but she denied everything. "I don't know what you think you saw," she said. "Micah? That's probably a scam. You're misinterpreting." Even after I showed her the screenshots, she stood her ground. I walked out, and that's when I decided if she wasn't going to admit it, I'd find Eliza myself. I needed the truth from the only other person who knew what actually happened. I didn't sleep the night I found those emails. I kept replaying everything in my head, the way Eliza vanished without warning, the way my mom said, "You're lucky she left," like she was brushing off a mess she helped create. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was angry, confused, suspicious, and I needed closure. I didn't know where Eliza was. She'd cut off everyone when she left, but now I had a lead. Micah, her ex, the guy my mom sent money to, the guy who somehow got her to disappear. So I started there. He wasn't hard to find. His Instagram was still public. One of the first posts I saw was him tagging someone in a story, someone with a private account, but the username was familiar. It was Eliza's sister. Bingo. I reached out. Just a short message. "Hey, I know this is random, but I used to date Eliza. I've been trying to reach her, nothing weird, just hoping she's okay." No response for 2 days. Then suddenly, "Why now?" I froze. She knew. She knew what happened. I wrote back because I found out what really happened. About my mom. About Micah. The typing bubbles popped up, then stopped, then came back, then disappeared. Then a message came through. "She's in town. Don't tell her I told you." I got the address the next morning. A small house in a quiet neighborhood about 40 minutes from where I live. I wasn't even sure if I'd knock. I parked across the street and just watched for a while. I saw her come out around noon. It was definitely her, but she looked different, like she hadn't slept well in weeks. Hair pulled back, no makeup. Same posture though, same phone grip. I'd recognize her from a mile away. I waited another hour before walking up. No big plan, just knock. When she opened the door and saw me, she didn't speak, just stared. "Eliza," I said. "I need to talk." She hesitated, then stepped aside. I walked into her place. Small, clean, quiet, no photos on the walls, just a single jacket on a hook. I noticed right away, no trace of another person living there. She sat down. I didn't. I know, I said. I know my mom paid Micah. I saw the PayPal records, the emails. She didn't act surprised, just tired. I figured you would one day, she said quietly. Why didn't you ever tell me? She looked at me for a long time before answering. I wanted to, she said. I wrote out messages so many times, but every time I was about to hit send, I think about everything your mom threatened. Threatened? I repeated. She nodded. It wasn't just about money. Then she opened a drawer and pulled out a small paper envelope. Inside was a printed letter. No email, no digital trace. My mom's handwriting. If you care about him, you'll leave. No explanation. No closure. If you reach out again, I'll make sure you never work in this town again. I know where your mother lives. I know where you volunteer. Walk away, or I'll bury you. I stood there stunned. I didn't even know my mom was capable of writing something like that. But Eliza wasn't done. She found out things about me, she said. Things I didn't even tell you because they weren't relevant. My family background, my dad's criminal record, my mom's bankruptcy, stuff from when I was a kid. She said I wasn't wife material for her son. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, honestly. She said if I didn't cooperate, she'd make sure I took the fall for something big, Eliza said. And I believed her. I sat down. My mom hadn't just interfered, she blackmailed her. She dug up Eliza's past and weaponized it. But that wasn't the end of it, because Eliza looked down and said one last thing, almost like she didn't want to tell me. There's something else, she said. Something I didn't tell anyone. I leaned forward. She stood up and walked to the hallway. Came back with a box. Inside were three things: a sonogram photo, a hospital wristband, and a document partially torn but readable. Birth record. My name was listed under father. Date 6 months after Eliza disappeared. But under child's name, it said deceased. I blinked. My hands started shaking. Eliza. What? I was pregnant when I left, she said. Your mom knew. She found out before I even told you. She told me if I kept it and stayed, she'd make my life hell. I didn't have support. I didn't have money. I went to stay with an old friend. It was complicated. I lost the baby in the second trimester. I had no words. I didn't even know how to feel. I had been mourning a breakup, but she had been mourning a life. Alone, while being threatened by my own mother. And just when I thought that was the end of the worst, she whispered, there's something else I need to show you. Something I never told anyone, not even Micah. I kept it in case. She reached for her phone and opened her photos. And what I saw next turned everything upside down again. She handed me the phone. My palms were sweating, my throat dry. I didn't even know what I expected anymore. On the screen was a blurry photo taken from inside a car through the windshield. In the frame, my mom. And right beside her in the passenger seat, someone I never imagined seeing there. My older cousin, Darren. The timestamp on the photo? 2 weeks before Eliza disappeared. I blinked, confused. Why were they together? Eliza didn't look at me. That's what I asked myself. Until I figured it out. Your mom wasn't acting alone. My brain tried to catch up. Darren was practically my brother growing up. Our families were close. He always got the golden child label. Smart, clean record, same college as me. But he had a weird possessive streak, always competitive, always territorial. Especially when I was doing better than him. And I was at the time. Better job, healthier relationship. He made subtle comments. Careful, she's not in your league. You always fall too hard. Now I was staring at a photo of him side by side with my mom, plotting. Eliza took a deep breath. He was the one who gave her the background info on me, she said. He knew where I volunteered. He found out about my dad's past. I don't even know how. My stomach dropped. I confronted him once, she continued. Back when we were still together. He came by your place when you weren't home. Said I was a distraction. Told me you'd thank him someday if I walked away. I didn't tell you because I thought maybe he was just being protective. He never mentioned that to me. He wouldn't, she said, but I'm pretty sure he was the one who contacted Micah first. Your mom had no connection to him. She pulled up another screenshot. A text from a number saved only as D. Can you still reach Micah? She needs a reason to walk away. Make it painful. Then a bank transfer receipt, $1,000 to Micah from an account under Darren's name. 2 days before my mom sent her first PayPal payment, everything was clicking into place. My mom wasn't the mastermind. She was the weapon. Darren was the one pulling string. And the worst part? He still saw me every other month. Still came to family dinners. Still texted me on birthdays like nothing ever happened. I stood up pacing. So all this time, both of them working together behind my back. Micah was just the middleman, Eliza said quietly. The one they used to execute the plan. But it was Darren's idea to make it messy. To make it hurt. He told them you needed a fall. That heartbreak would mature you. My fists clenched. That wasn't protection. That wasn't love. That was sabotage. Jealous, calculated sabotage. And my mom, who always told me she just wanted what's best, let it happen. Funded it. Watched me break down and still said, you'll understand one day. No, I understood now. I was a project to them. A puppet. And when I stepped outside their image of how my life should look, they decided to correct it. I looked back at Eliza. I'm sorry, I said. I'm sorry for all of it. She shook her head. You didn't do this. I didn't stop it either. We sat in silence. Then she said, there's something else. Something personal. I braced myself. You know that apartment I moved into after I left? It wasn't Micah's idea. It wasn't mine either. She reached into her desk and pulled out a folder with the lease documents. Landlord name, Darren R. He owned the unit. He let her stay rent-free for 6 months, only under the condition that she never contacted me. Micah disappeared after the first month, she said. Darren kept checking in. Brought groceries once. Told me, you're doing the right thing. I thought he was trying to be kind. Now I know he was just controlling the story. I was dizzy. This wasn't just about Eliza. It was about power, control, manipulation. And for 2 years, I lived like a fool. Blaming myself, doubting myself, letting my mom and Darren play innocent. But now I had proof, and I knew what I had to do. I didn't tell Eliza right away. I hugged her, thanked her, and left. Then I called Darren. I said we needed to talk face to face. He agreed, told me to meet him at our usual diner the next morning. He said, "Is this about Eliza?" I was froze. He already knew. I barely slept. I kept staring at my phone, rereading the text Darren sent me after I told him we needed to talk. "Is this about Eliza?" He didn't even pretend. Didn't ask what was wrong. Just named her. Like he'd been expecting this day for a long time. I showed up at the diner early the next morning. Same one we used to go to as kids after basketball practice. The same stupid booth near the window we always sat in. Darren was already there, sipping black coffee like nothing was happening. "Hey, cuz," he said, like this was some casual catch-up. "You look tired." I sat across from him. Didn't bother with pleasantries. You knew this day was coming. He didn't flinch. Eventually, I pulled out a folder, printed screenshots, bank transfers, emails, the sonogram photo. I slid it across the table. He didn't even look. "Don't need to see it," he said. "I know what's in there." "You going to deny it?" "No." Silence. He leaned back, took another sip. "You think this makes me a villain?" he asked. "I did what nobody else had the guts to do. Your mom was scared to lose you." I stepped in. "To what? Destroy my relationship? Blackmail her? Let her lose a baby alone?" He paused just for a second. That was the only time I saw any crack in his expression. "She was going to ruin you," he said. "No," I snapped. "She loved me, and I loved her, and that's exactly why it had to stop." That sentence hit different. Cold, calculated. "You were finally ahead of me," he continued. "Good job. Nice apartment. Loyal girlfriend. You were slipping out of reach. You think I didn't notice? You think I liked watching you get everything handed to you while I cleaned up your mom's messes behind the scenes?" My heart sank. This wasn't about protection. This was jealousy. Straight up resentment. "You know what your mom said to me when she found out Eliza was pregnant?" he asked, voice suddenly low. "She said fix it, or I will." "She meant a conversation," I said. "No, she meant scorched earth." I stared at him. "So you made her leave, threatened her, paid Micah, forced her into a corner, and I'd do it again." I clenched my jaw. "You two ruined my life." "No," he said, smiling. "We cleaned it up." I stood up. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "You want revenge, right?" he said casually. "You want to expose me, your mom, blow up the family. Already planning on it." "Well," he tapped the table twice, leaned forward, and whispered, "Then I guess it's time you knew what Eliza didn't tell you." I froze. He smiled. "She wasn't alone that night at the clinic. I was there." "What?" "I picked her up, paid the hospital fees. She didn't want you to know that. Didn't want you to see her like that. She begged me to stay quiet." I felt like the floor vanished under me. "She didn't want to pull you back in," he said. "She said, and I quote, 'Don't let him see me like this.' So I didn't." "You're lying." He pulled out his phone, tapped something, and held it up. A blurry video. Eliza, sitting in a hospital bed, crying, holding a blanket. In the background, his voice, off camera. "He doesn't deserve this pain. Don't do that to him." She nodded. I couldn't breathe. "She was broken," he said, "and I was the only one who showed up." I backed away. "Don't twist this," I said. "You manipulated her." "I helped her," he said. "You think you're the only one who lost something? You think you're the only one who cried?" I carried her home that night. It was true, and that made it worse. Because now I wasn't just dealing with betrayal, I was dealing with debts, with shame, with the fact that the person I hated most in that moment might have been the only one who saw Eliza at her worst and stayed. "I'm not done with you," I said quietly. "Sure you are," he replied, sliding a napkin across the table. "On it, a lawyer's name. She knows what you're thinking," he said, "and she's already ready for it." "You threatened her again?" "No, she asked me to give you this, in case you ever came looking." My heart pounded. He stood up, pat me on the shoulder, and said the one thing that made me want to punch straight through the window. "Don't hate the player, cousin. Hate the bloodline." He walked out, and I stood there, shaking. I wasn't done, but I also didn't know if Eliza had been hiding more than I could handle. The napkin with the lawyer's name sat crumpled in my hand all the way home. I didn't want to believe any of it. Not the video, not Darren's smug confession, not the idea that Eliza was somehow complicit in hiding more from me. But I couldn't ignore the evidence. And the worst part? I hadn't even talked to my mom yet. I thought about going to her house that night, barging in and demanding the truth. But I knew what she'd do: deflect, deny, cry, then play the victim. She was always 5 steps ahead emotionally. So I changed tactic. I called my Aunt Darren's mom. She used to be the family peacemaker, the one who kept things civil during holiday fights. I didn't expect her to tell me much, but I just needed someone outside the triangle. What I got instead was the final puzzle piece I never asked for. "Your mom told you about the first one, right?" she asked. I froze. "The first what?" Silence. Then she sighed. "I thought she came clean years ago. About the girl you dated in college? The one who left suddenly?" I blinked. Tess had been my girlfriend's sophomore year. She dropped out after a semester abroad, sent me one vague message that she needed space, and vanished. I never got closure. It hurt, but I eventually moved on. What does my mom have to do with Tess? My aunt's voice cracked. "She paid her too." I nearly dropped the phone. "She what?" She said Tess wasn't stable enough, that she had family issues, that she cried too much, that you couldn't afford to be distracted. She made Tess an offer, enough money to start over somewhere else. And Tess took it. That was over 5 years ago. My entire adult life, my mom had been treating my love life like a business portfolio, cutting losses, eliminating risks, buying people off. This wasn't about Eliza, or even Darren. This was my entire past, curated and edited behind my back. I didn't wait another second. I got in my car and drove straight to my mom's house. She answered the door wearing her usual robe, sipping tea like it was just another Sunday night. She barely blinked when she saw me. "You look pale. Rough night?" I stepped inside. "No more games," I said. "I know everything. Eliza, Micah, Darren, Tess, all of it." She placed the cup down. "Calm, cold." "All right," she said softly. "So what now?" I blinked. "That's it?" "No denial. I figured this would come eventually, she said. You were always a little too curious. You destroyed relationships, manipulated people. For what? To protect you, she said without flinching. To keep you from marrying beneath your station, from being used, from wasting your potential. I stepped back. You think love is weakness. I think attachment is dangerous, she said. You don't know what people are capable of. But I do. She walked to a drawer, pulled out a file. Inside were dossiers, printed backgrounds, screenshots, notes on every girl I'd ever dated. Everyone gets a chapter, she said, flipping through like a photo album. Tess had a brother in rehab. Eliza's father had 2 arrests. One girl you met on a trip had credit card debt and no degree. I was shaking. You're insane. No, she said. I'm methodical. And then she handed me one more file, thicker than the rest. I assume Darren told you about the baby, she said quietly. I nodded. He didn't tell you about the DNA test, did he? I froze. What? The hospital ran a test before she lost it, she said. Darren pulled strings to get it early. She didn't know. She opened the file. Inside, a lab result. Paternity, negative. I stepped back, hard, like I got hit in the chest. No, I muttered. No, that's not possible. She was already pregnant when you met, my mom said. She didn't even know yet. She found out 2 months after you started dating. I couldn't breathe. Darren was the one who found the paperwork, she added. He didn't tell you because he knew you wouldn't handle it. I sank into the nearest chair. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Was it true? Was that why Eliza never told me herself? Was that why she broke down in that video? Or was it another lie planted by a family obsessed with control? I had no proof, just a piece of paper, and a house filled with evidence that my entire life had been curated by people who thought they knew better. I stood up. I'm cutting you off, I said. For good. She didn't cry, didn't plead, just nodded. I thought you might say that, she said. But you'll be back one day. No, I said. I finally know who I am without you. I walked out and never looked back.